The human made friends with the galaxy's most dangerous predator. The containment breach alarm screamed through Thornton Research Station, with the kind of urgency that made seasoned life scientists pray to whatever gods they still believed in. Security Chief June barely looked up from her lunch as the emergency lights bathed the cafeteria in pulsing red. Containment breach in Lab 7, she said around a mouthful of medium-rare T-bone steak, checking her tablet with one hand while cutting another piece with the other. Kytharan death-stalker, adult female. Dr. Thok's 4 eyes went wide with terror. The Zentorian researcher dropped his data pad, the device clattering across the metal table. A death-stalker. Those things can slice through reinforced titanium. We need to evacuate the entire station. Nah, June chewed thoughtfully, savoring the perfectly cooked beef. I'll handle it after I finish eating. This steak cost me half a week's pay. Dr. Bragg, the station's chief life scientist, made a sound somewhere between a wheeze and a death rattle. His translator unit struggled to process the series of clicks and hisses that followed. Handle it, June. That creature is classified as a Category 9 apex predator. Its claws can cut through starship hulls. Its bite force measures over 3,000 pounds per square inch. Yeah, I read the file. June took another bite, completely unbothered by the fact that the station's most dangerous research subject was currently loose somewhere in the facility. Says here they're pack hunters from Kythara Prime. Social creatures, probably just scared and looking for a way out. The alarm continued its urgent wailing. Through the cafeteria's observation window, they could see other staff members running past in various states of panic. Someone was shouting about emergency protocols. Dr. Thok's translator crackled with static as his voice pitched higher. Scared, it killed its handler on the transport ship, ate through the cargo bay doors. The entire crew had to abandon ship. Well, yeah, June shrugged, cutting another piece of steak with surgical precision. Poor thing was probably starving. When's the last time anyone fed it properly? I bet they were giving it those awful processed protein blocks. Dr. Bragg's breathing apparatus wheezed frantically. You're talking about feeding protocols for something that considers most sentient species a light snack. Look. June finally put down her fork and turned to face the 2 alien researchers. I've been handling dangerous animals since I was 12. My dad ran a wildlife preserve back on Earth. You want to know the secret to dealing with apex predators? Both aliens leaned forward despite themselves. Respect, food, and don't act like prey. She picked up her plate, which still held about half of her steak. Basic stuff, really. The containment breach alarm suddenly cut off, replaced by an even more urgent tone. An announcement came over the speakers in a maddeningly calm voice. All personnel evacuate to emergency shelters. Kytharan specimen has breached secondary containment. Repeat, all personnel evacuate immediately. Right, June stood up, plate in hand. Time to go make a friend. Dr. Thok's translator nearly overloaded. Make a friend. With a death-stalker? Why not? June was already walking toward the exit. They're intelligent, social, probably just needs someone to treat it with basic respect instead of shooting tranquilizer darts at it every 5 minutes. The 2 alien researchers exchanged looks of pure bewilderment before scrambling to follow her. Dr. Bragg's voice carried a note of hysteria as he spoke into his communicator. Security Chief is approaching the breach site. She appears to be bringing her lunch. They moved through empty corridors, emergency lighting casting everything in an eerie red glow. June walked at a casual pace, still holding her plate, while the 2 aliens crept behind her like they were traversing a minefield. There, June said, pointing ahead. Told you it was just looking for a way out. At the end of the corridor, near the main exit to the docking bay, something massive shifted in the shadows. Dr. Thok caught a glimpse of obsidian-black scales, razor-sharp claws that could indeed slice through starship hulls, and eyes that glowed with predatory intelligence. The Kytharan death-stalker was easily 12 feet long, built like a cross between a Terran leopard and something from nightmares. It turned its head toward them, and both alien researchers nearly fainted when they saw its teeth. Each one was longer than their hands, designed for tearing through armor and bone with equal ease. "Hey there, beautiful," June said in the same tone she might use to greet a neighbor's dog. "Having a rough day?" The death-stalker's head tilted slightly. Its nostrils flared, testing the air. "Yeah, I bet you're hungry." June took a step closer, and Dr. Bragg made a sound like a deflating balloon. "They probably haven't fed you anything decent in weeks, have they? Just those awful protein blocks that taste like recycled air filters." She cut a piece of steak from her plate and held it out. "Want to try some real food?" The apex predator, the creature that had eaten through starship hulls and killed trained handlers, lowered its massive head and sniffed delicately at the offered meat. Its tongue, easily a foot long and covered in backward-facing spines designed for stripping flesh from bone, flicked out to taste the steak. The death-stalker's eyes closed in what could only be described as bliss. "Good, right?" June smiled, cutting another piece. "Earth beef. Grain-fed, aged properly, cooked to perfection. None of that synthetic garbage." The creature made a sound, a deep, rumbling purr that vibrated through the station's deck plates. It moved closer to June, moving with liquid grace despite its size. Dr. Thock's voice came out as a strangled whisper. "It's purring. Course it is." June scratched behind what might charitably be called the death-stalker's ears, if ears were made of armored bone ridges and designed to deflect projectile weapons. When's the last time anyone showed this girl some basic kindness? The purring intensified. The death-stalker settled down beside June like an enormous, terrifying cat, accepting pieces of steak with delicate precision. Despite jaws capable of crushing a shuttle's landing gear, it took each piece gently from June's fingers. "This is impossible," Dr. Bragg whispered. "The behavioral matrix clearly indicates that Kytharan death-stalkers are solitary, aggressive, and view all other species as potential prey." "Maybe that's because you've been keeping them in cages and feeding them garbage," June replied, offering the creature another piece of steak. "Look at her, she's been stress molting. See how dull her scales are? Poor nutrition, no social interaction, probably hasn't seen natural sunlight in months." The death-stalker finished the steak and looked hopefully at the empty plate. June laughed, actually laughed, and scratched under its chin. The purring got so loud that dust started falling from the ceiling. "Sorry, girl, that's all I've got right now, but I'll see what I can do about getting you some proper meals." She stood up, and the massive predator immediately stood as well, staying close to her side like an oversized guard dog. "June," Dr. Thock managed to croak. "What are you doing?" Walking her back to Lab 7. "She's probably tired. All that running around the station, looking for food and a way home." June started down the corridor, and the death-stalker padded along beside her, occasionally bumping her shoulder with its massive head. Poor thing just needed someone to treat her like a person instead of a test subject. But the containment protocols will need to be rewritten. June's voice carried the easy authority of someone who'd made the decision and wouldn't be argued out of it. She's obviously intelligent, social, probably gets lonely in that bare lab cell you've got her in. They reached Lab 7, where the twisted remains of the containment unit stood as testament to the death-stalker's impressive escape skills. The creature looked at the damaged cage and made a soft sound that somehow conveyed both disgust and disappointment. "Yeah, I know," June said sympathetically. "We'll get you better accommodations. Maybe something with a view. You'd probably like to see the stars." Dr. Bragg's breathing apparatus was working overtime. "You're suggesting we upgrade containment facilities for the galaxy's most dangerous predator. I'm suggesting we stop treating sentient beings like lab equipment." June knelt beside the death-stalker, who immediately settled down and rested her massive head in the human's lap. Look at her, she's not a monster. She's just a person stuck in a bad situation. The two alien researchers watched in stunned silence as June continued petting the creature that could have killed all three of them without breaking a sweat. The death-stalker's purring had settled into a contented rumble, and her eyes, those terrible, predatory eyes, were half-closed with something that looked remarkably like happiness. "This changes everything," Dr. Thok whispered. "If Kytharan death-stalkers are actually social creatures who respond to positive interaction, then maybe we should start treating them like people instead of specimens," June finished. "Revolutionary concept, I know." She looked down at the massive predator currently using her as a pillow. "What do you think, girl? Want to stick around and help us figure out better ways to do this research? I promise better food and actual respect for your intelligence." The death-stalker opened one glowing eye and made a sound that, despite coming from a creature designed by evolution to be the perfect killing machine, somehow managed to convey agreement. Dr. Bragg would later write in his research notes, "Human approach to cross-species interaction appears to prioritize emotional intelligence over established safety protocols. Results suggest that many species classified as hostile may simply be responding to inadequate treatment. Recommend immediate review of all containment and interaction procedures." But that was hours later. For now, he simply watched in amazement as Security Chief June continued to pet the galaxy's most feared apex predator. Both of them apparently content with the arrangement. "You know," June said conversationally, "I bet she'd love to try some of those Altarian steaks they serve in the officers' mess. Really lean meat, perfect for carnivores." The death-stalker's purring intensified, and Dr. Thok could have sworn she was smiling. "Humans," he muttered into his translator. "They don't solve problems, they adopt them."